heart attack. Fast, fatal, hard impact. Past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions. Fact, don't ask, grab reactions. Jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused. Call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose. Pick a new silver juice. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now. Y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kyusho here, and now, whenever we last left off with this series, we had Deku and the survivors. Currently, they are trying to survive a very harsh winter. They are a few months into the apocalypse. I decided to do a bit of a time skip. I jumped forwards a few months because I felt like we were lingering around the beginning, around the 2 to 3 month mark. So I decided to jump to more or less the 6 to 7 month mark. Now, it is almost Christmas, and our characters, they have all been doing their best. Right now they've secured the base, they have resources, and from what they can understand, they need to keep getting more. They have Mei working on technical solutions and trying to help by creating tech. Along with that, she also is, or at least has theorized, about creating bullets. Now, while that process would be complicated, it would not be impossible. And Mei, she has brought these ideas before to the group. Meanwhile, we do actually have Deku. He is seen as the leader. People rely on him, but they don't understand one simple thing. He's scared, he's afraid, just as much as any of them. And the last part, Kendo, she actually, opened up to Deku a little bit. She revealed her fears. She still has nightmares. She still, doesn't know how to really put it. She can still remember her father's face. She can still remember him being human, not a zombie. She stayed by Deku's side for a night. She didn't want to have a nightmare again. And Deku, begrudgingly, he accepted this. Now, we do have the following morning. Everybody, they're all sitting down. And they're actually having something warm to drink and something warm to eat. They all know exactly what they're supposed to be doing today. They are going to go out into groups and do their jobs. Somebody's going to be tending to the crops that actually are somewhat safe from the snow. They did have to put up a lot of things and somewhat get to building in order to make sure their crops don't freeze because of how cold it is outside. They need to make sure they get plenty of water, and even then it's at least warm enough in the area they're contained in to survive. Otherwise the crops can freeze or simply just die. And while Deku, he knows he's going to be doing that, he actually is somewhat concerned. One person's going to be on guard, other people are going to be doing that. Him and somebody else are leaving today, and then there's Mei. Mei, she wants to present them with something. And while it would be good, given the circumstances, it's Mei Hatsume. Now, everybody is sitting down, and somebody, they actually do look towards Deku. They're somewhat having their gaze linger. And Deku, he actually just won't turn up his head to look towards them. What's up, Jiro? Oh, nothing. It's just... Did you get a lot of sleep last night? Oh. Yeah, I did. I just didn't have a nightmare. Now, whenever that phrase is actually said, you do actually have Kendo, who was sitting across the table, at the other end. She was drinking a cup of coffee, and while her face was a little bit red, she was able to not choke on her drink. The last thing she should be worrying about right now is being embarrassed. And while under normal circumstances being seen as weak to everybody would be a problem, right now nobody cares about that anymore. As she'll sit it down and going to stand up. Going to stretch, talking about how she'll go on watch and that she's going to go on a patrol around the perimeter after she does get dressed. As she does walk over to a table and going to pick up a gun. Now, everybody they do watch her leave. She's taking one of the assault rifles from the military guys. And she's also taking a handgun. Then she actually does go walking over to the door as she does grab a giant stick that does have a knife on it. It is actually somewhat good. They can use these and not get up in close and personal with some of the zombies that are actually able to somewhat melt through the barricade sometimes. As Deku he does watch her leave, he actually does somewhat turn and look around. Okay. Well, since he's on perimeter duty, we need to go get supplies. Let's see. It's about 7. So, who wants to go out with me? We should have plenty of hours of daylight. Plus, I looked outside earlier. It actually looks like the storm's not going right now. The snowfall, while it is fresh, it's low. We could actually take a vehicle if we wanted to. Probably the truck. Everybody looking at Deku. Momo, she is going to stand talking about how she's going to be tending to crops, since she's actually looking a lot more into that. Toga actually talking about how, yeah, she was going to do that too, and that she doesn't really feel like leaving the mansion today. Plus, she actually does want to continue talking with somebody else. Her saying the name of that person as Deku does look towards Kirishima. And while Kirishima, he would usually, put on a brave face, Deku, whenever he does look towards him, he does see him. The guy, he's somewhat slouched in his chair, and he does have his longer hair. He usually tries to hide it or cover it with a beanie, since apparently he dyes it. And Deku, he does see a strand of the black hair move in front of his face as he is going to look up. Oh. I mean, I would, but, you know. What's up? I'm gonna be busy with something else today. Now, as that was said, you do actually have Jiro. Deku, he does look over towards her, asking if she does want to go with him, or are they just gonna not go out today? And while Jiro, she is actually about to go open her mouth to say something, you do actually have Hatsume. She does come running into the room as she does hold up something. And everybody, they do sort of get on edge for a second because they think she's brandishing a firearm. As she actually just hold it up and reveal that she's made a grappling hook. And this is actually something that Deku, he is caught off guard by. However, it's actually in a good way. Mei has been trying to make a lot of inventions in the last couple weeks. And the fact that she made a grappling hook right now, it could be good, it could be bad. They're just going to have to see how that plays out. This being where she actually does look over towards Deku and ask if he would like to be the first to test it. I'm good. Oh, come on. This is a lot easier than the rest of the prototypes. I've made adjustments. Along with that, it's at least made out of a lot more solid material. The tensile strength of the strings, along with that the wires, and, well, the small motor I have running inside of it. Yeah, I said I'm good. Come on. This is supposed to help you guys out. What are you supposed to do if you get cornered somewhere? Or, well, you just need to get up somewhere to go search. Places you can't get into. if there's a giant window up somewhere, or if a place is barricaded but there's a second level to it, or even possibly a roof access point. Those doors, they must all be unlocked. Well, that is unless the flying creatures are something to worry about in the area. Yet another reason why I don't think we should use that. Now, Deku, he does actually tell Hatsume. Well, the flying creatures, they might not be up in the air because of the storms and because of the cold. Still, if one of them is up in the air, and it does get lucky and snatch one of them, he'd rather not have that happen. Since if those things get a hold on somebody, he's not really too sure if they're going to get away from it. In time, at least. Now, May, she does try to think about that for a minute, as she does just talk about how she's not really too sure what she should make then. Since most of her projects, if you do want to put into terms, they're kind of utility tools. I mean, yeah, one of them could be used as a weapon, but it wouldn't be too effective. Especially with how the zombies are apparently mutating nowadays. And while that does somewhat come to a bit of a bummer for May, she does take that into consideration. As she does quickly head back to her lab and talk about how she's going to try and make something else really quickly. And while Deku, he was going to say something to her, the fact that she's not trying to force people to test her inventions nowadays, it is good. Along with that, she does seem to be a little bit more human in a way. Yeah, her inventions, they're a lot more jury-rigged than what she could probably make at UA, if she had the right resources, but at the same time, they are still somewhat useful. He can see the idea of using them. Yeah, it could work out, but the risk, is it worth it? That's the whole thing Deku has right now. He's not too sure, but at the same time he's curious about it. However, there's a saying Deku would rather not learn about. Now, with that being said, Deku and Jiro ultimately they do both head out together. As with that, the two are able to take the truck and leave. The conversation they do have while they're driving away, it is somewhat simple. Jiro notices that Deku seems to be in better spirits. And while Deku, he does look towards her, she does seem to be a bit less, well, what's the best way to say it? She doesn't seem so uncomfortable. She seems a bit more relaxed. However, at the same time, we can tell that there's a bit of worry. Yeah, every day they go out here, there is a high risk of being hurt or possibly even killed. However, thanks to the cold, that risk is a lot lower. But at the same time, there's also the variants, or whatever you want to call them. The deviations from the normal zombies. Now, the two eventually they do find a place that would be good. And after looking on some maps and talking about how, oh yeah, they've already been through this section, and this section. Basically, oh yeah, they've cleared these streets here and these streets there. It is sort of weird and kind of strange. And with that, we actually do have today. The two are trudging through the snow. After leaving the car in an alleyway and searching around the block. Deku and Jiro, both of them, they were caught off guard. For a minute, Jiro didn't know how to put it, but she thought she heard somebody. Not like a zombie trying to speak or trying to act normal, not the gargled muttering that they usually make. She thought she actually heard a voice, clear and crystal, just like talking to, well, Deku or somebody else. It sort of caught her off guard in a way that was good. There's more people out there, that's what she thought. And while that was kind of weird for her at first, you do actually have where Deku, whenever she did start making her way towards that area, he went right behind her. As the two, they do peek around a corner, and they actually do see something very surprising. There are people there right across the street, and they're doing something. They're, well, what's the best way to describe it? They're doing something that doesn't seem too good. And this is actually a bit of a problem. They see these people. They're just right underneath a street post, or, well, a street light. And they're doing something with wires and, well, a corpse on the ground. What are they doing? I don't know. I don't think I've seen anyone do this before. Wait, hang on a minute. Jiro actually going to reach to her pocket and pull out a phone. As she does go to open up the camera and start taking pictures. She photographs the people as they do continue what they're doing. A wire being wrapped around the zombie's legs, as afterwards you do actually have them with a truck. They pull the wire as the zombie, its body does go up in the air. And it's actually dangling by its legs as its arms do go limp. This is actually kind of weird. The truck, it does stop. And then somebody does walk over and go to set something onto, or at least into, the zombie's hands. As they then get into the truck after making sure the wire is secure and leaving. Whenever that does actually happen, you do have Deku. He does look around really quickly. And after stepping out, along with Jiro, the two make their way over to see the zombie. They get in close. And upon further inspection, it doesn't look like a zombie. It looks like a human corpse. And this is actually where the body, it's somewhat just spinning in a slow circle. As whenever it does make a full rotation and Deku does see the sight in his hands, he does feel a shiver run up his spine. The sign it is holding, it's talking about this, how this territory is owned. And that does somewhat concern Deku. He does see the name of it. They're calling it, well, if he remembers correctly, that's the name of a hero agency, wasn't it? There's one just a few blocks that way named that, right? Uh, is that a person? I don't know. No. Deku, he is somewhat concerned by that. However, you do have Jiro, who after turning her head to look down the street, where the car made its getaway, she does actually somewhat tap onto Deku's arm. As he does then spin his head around and see a body further down the street hanging. And that does somewhat concern him. He feels his blood run cold. As, well, he doesn't know how to put this. He thought, well, people, they're already doing this. They're acting like villains. That being the only thought in Deku's head. They, right now, are rather, they're just killing people. They're trying to form a group that is sustained by violence. Yeah, there's other survivors in the city. But from what he is thinking about right now, the idea forming in his head, a hero agency, or at the very least, somebody using that agency's possible headquarters as a base, they're just, well, they're not human. They've turned into monsters trying to survive. That's what Deku does think. He doesn't know how to feel about that. While he has realized there was a monster once, he hasn't really thought about there being more people like this. The military man, the one who seemingly broke in and shot Tokage, Deku still has his notebook. He's read through it before. He's skimmed a few things from it, and he's learned something quite disturbing. The zombies, they don't necessarily rot the same way people do when they die. Sometimes the flesh will break down. However, as for decomposing, it doesn't really seem to do that. It doesn't go rotten the same way. It's more or less turning to liquid. And the military guy, yeah, he discovered that by running out of food one day and having to turn to something else. He thought that it was safe to consume. And Deku, he found that very disgusting. The idea of, well, it is still human, but he turned to it because he was hungry? It's disgusting. And Deku might think that these people could be like that. They're monsters. They're crazy. He's already demonizing them in his own head. But he does know that he can't really be one to be called pure or a saint. He's taken lives. And as much as he hates to admit it, right now he feels like there's people they have to kill. And he's rather uncomfortable with the knot forming in his stomach. Now, the two, they quickly do disappear. Them heading back to their group as they do inform everybody about what's going on. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. Have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.